All right. Hi, everyone. How is everyone doing tonight? It is day 4 or night 4 for the night class because it goes down in the night class. Come on in, all my VIPs. Y'all come on. Hi, everyone. All right, all right, I was just doing a sound check. Welcome. Put this in the chat. Oh, we are tilting. Need to stop doing that. Get your pencil and paper ready. I was putting a link into YouTube. All right. Hi, everyone. It is night 4, day 4 of Coaching in Action Week. And I am so excited to be here with you. We are in the home stretch. Oh my gosh, I am so excited. And tonight is my favorite day of all of the Path to Possibilities, because this is like that point where you can kind of see, like, I see that pot of platinum, I see that possibility, and you've done all of the heavy lifting from nights 1, 2, and 3. So I'm excited for you. Thank you so much for coming back. And I'm loving the feedback. People are messaging me, even though I said put it in the comments down below, but I have to make sure, especially here on YouTube, that I build that culture where you can comment in the comments and I will respond back. All right. And so a lot of chat and messages have been coming through the Zoom room with the VIP crew. So that's probably why a lot of chats aren't going through the actual feed. All right. So what are we doing? I'm going to do a recap. Then I'm going to share some things that I've been watching and how it ties into life coaching in general and the path to possibility. So remember, that's the framework that I'm sharing with you, that I've taken out of the membership, that I've taken out of working with my private clients. If you can see my setup, and if you keep seeing me look over this way, is because I actually have the full workbook that I've used with private clients during our VIP days. And I'm literally taking the exercises. Let me see, swirl it around. See, I didn't show that to the glare, but I just wanted you to see that I am taking stuff out and giving you all the best of the best. We are not holding anything back. So I'm going to do a recap of the 3 nights. I'm going to share some things I've been watching on TV, like I said, to tie into life coaching in general and the path to possibility. Then we're going to get into night 4, night 4, F-bomb number 4. And then I'm going to share some questions from the VIPs. I'm trying to debate if I want to share some from the morning class, because I only have one that came in. Well, 2. I had 2 that came in for tonight. So we'll see how it goes. All right. So if you've been watching now, hopefully you've been doing the work. If you showed up tonight, welcome. I'm glad you're here. The replays will be available at least all the way till next week, for sure. So, but you can still watch them in the meantime. And I'm not saying that you're missing out, but you're probably going to show up like, well, what's been happening? We've been doing some work. So on night 1, we talked about focusing your awareness, thinking about that possibility, the one that you bury deep down inside, the one that you don't talk about. And this is beyond just having a goal. This is something that you may have thought was impossible, but hopefully by last night, you know that it was possible for you. So now you have that possibility. And to get into the feeling of that possibility, you have to talk about what you don't want, which was the easiest thing that we tend to do. We know what we don't want, but then I challenged you to focus more on what you do want. And that was the part where some people are like, oh, I didn't, that's kind of challenging. Yes, because our mind reverts to the negative sometimes, or I don't want to say it's negative, but we can answer what we don't want a lot more easier than we do what we do want. And then I said, from that place, get into the mindset of a person who's already achieved that. And if you can't see that for yourself, I said there's nothing wrong with borrowing the mindset of someone who's already achieved it. It's not coveting them, it's not faking, it's not flexing, but it's like success leaves clues. And if you see somebody, and the one example I think we had was talking about a condo on the on a condo on the beach. If you know of someone who has a condo on the beach, or if you're watching a YouTube channel and someone's taking you through their journey of having a condo on the beach, what are they saying to themselves? How are they showing up? What are they talking about? What are, some of the things that they're believing for, some of the things that they're believing before they even purchased it. You want to start filling your head up with that until you start owning those thoughts. And then that's where we get into putting the practice, the beliefs into practice, which is action. So after we focus, we have to find our truth. Just because you start working on those new mindset beliefs, it doesn't mean things are going to change overnight. Things are going to start popping up. You'll probably be good for a day or two, maybe a week. You're like, yeah, I'm feeling it. And then all of a sudden, outdated beliefs start creeping back up. So you needed something to say, okay, it's a lot happening up here. We talked about the circle of chaos, or we could say circle of confusion. And we had to figure out, okay, let's pinpoint this. What's really happening, and why do I keep reverting to these unhealthy patterns or these unhealthy thoughts? So we took that cloud, like the scribble scrabble cloud, and we put it out in front of us to look at it. And that's how we can say, find our truth of where these thoughts are coming from. Because for some people, they can automatically switch, jump into a new routine and keep it moving. But then there are a lot of us who are like, okay, I tried this. I notice I keep giving up. I'm tired of being that way. So let me figure out why. So finding your truth about where those unhealthy patterns are coming from, if you're honest with yourself. And then day 3 or night 3, we talked about flip your script. That's my little story, my script. And that comes from where we've looked at it and we said, well, where's that thought coming from? And again, some people can automatically change their thoughts. But then I said, if you don't have something to replace those negative thoughts or those outdated beliefs, and some people call them limiting beliefs, they're going to keep coming back. So sometimes instead of fully erasing it, you may not be there. So you may need to change the story that you're telling yourself. It doesn't change the events of what happened because we can't go back into the past, but we can change our perspective of how we see it. We can change and release some things. I went through a 2-step process with that. Well, I shared the 2-step process, but we went deep into the releasing process of, what do I need to let go of? What or who do I need to forgive? And then we really talked about the other side. Now that we're on the other side of the lesson, what do I love about it? What am I excited about? What opportunities am I excited about that are coming up because I went through that thing? So again, I think a lot of us get to the point where, okay, this is what happened, lesson learned, but now to push it even further so we can release some things. What did I actually learn, or what's happening? How has my life changed because of this chaos or this confusion that I'm looking at? Because there's always a silver lining. Sometimes you got to go dig deep, but it's always there. All right, so those were the 3 nights, the heavy lifting. We did all of that work, and all of that is through the lens of your possibility. Now, I want to make this clear, and you may have forgotten this, and I didn't say it over and over, but remember those 5 environments, those 5 areas of life I talked about. There are normally 12, and now I'm like, all the classes are mixing in together. I learned about the 12 areas of life from, I think they're Precious Moment people, but anyway, it was through Mind Valley. That's where I saw it. But the people who I guess created it, they were a part of, they came through Mind Valley. So I learned about that, and I was like, well, we can have a lot of time together. And that's how I created a year-long mastermind program. But for here, I was like, well, let's just focus on 5 areas. And from those 5, let's just pick one. So you're supposed to pick one area and a possibility in that area, and then go through this process, go through this path, go through this framework, and ask yourself questions as it relates to that possibility in that area. So if I did not make that clear, this is why all of the things are building on each other. I want to make sure I said that right now. And then tonight we're going to talk about the 4th F-bomb. But before I get into that, I want to share what I've been watching. So I don't know how I feel about this particular show yet, but it's the Upshaws on Netflix. And I started, last year, and then they had this random long break. And then it came back on. So I was like, well, let me watch half of the first part, and then so I can catch up on the second part. And I was like, all right, I'm like cringing as I watch it, because for me personally, it's a little hard to hear Tootie and Regine, but she's Regina on here, to say certain words. So I was like, I know it's a character, but it's just some language when she says it. All I see is Tootie and Regine. So I'm like, ah. But anyway, there was one episode. There are two episodes that I'm just going to talk about a little bit, and this is why I also really want to focus on transformational life coaching, especially for high achievers, top performers, go-getters, and things like that. To tie it in all together, I'm not going to try to connect it to the framework. I just want to share an overview in case someone is wondering, like, they're still side-eyeing life coaching, or any type of coaching. So one episode, this one is a little lighter. I'll start with this one. Beanie was going through some issues with the shop. He's a mechanic, and the sister-in-law helped him have the shop. So even he's like, they're co-owners. He's doing all the work. He's still there working. So this is another thing why I don't want people to glamorize entrepreneurship or having your own business, even though, like I said, I do believe people should have several streams of income. But even with him in his business, he's still showing up every day, putting in work. So it's not like, oh, I'm having my own business. This is what I got from the morning class, and I'll share some of those questions. Oh, I'm having my own business so I can have more freedom and flexibility. Well, Beanie was always at the shop. All right. So some things went down, and he ended up going, well, I don't want to spoil it. Some things went down in the shop. And then he was like, you know what? Forget this shop. I'm just going to go back to work because we need some money coming in, and I can't wait until the shop gets back together. So he goes to work for a dealership. Now, mind you, he's an entrepreneur. He has his own thing going. Then he goes to work, and he's sitting there like, wait a minute, I'm less stressed in this job than I was having my own business. And I wanted to share that because there are some people who, and I know this for a fact because some people have said it to me, that they want to go back to work, but they feel this pressure of this culture, this hustle culture, or, girl boss movement, be your own thing. And they're like, I was taking care of myself better when I actually had a job. And it's not, and that person was feeling bad about herself about wanting to go back to work. So Beanie, he was chilling for a minute. He was like, wait, I don't have to run myself to the ground. I don't have to work around the clock. I don't have to have the pressure of being responsible for employees or taxes or all the things that came with it. At Lexus, that was a dealership. We take a break every 15 minutes. There's a massage chair in the office. And then I remember he jumped in. One of the supervisors were explaining to this lady, like, the part of the car, the parts are going to cost $100, but because of the labor, it's an extra $350. So your total is going to be $450. And then Beanie jumped in like, hey man, it's not going to take that long. I can knock this out in 30 minutes. It was at my shop, so it wouldn't cost that much. And the man was like, that's not how we do things here at Lexus. And he was telling him how to wear his uniform and how to wear his hat. And then Beanie had to realize, oh, it wasn't the freedom and flexibility that I wanted. I wanted to do things how I wanted to do things, dress how I wanted to dress, and I don't do well with following people's rules in this place. So I want to bring that up for two reasons. One, if you are struggling with going the other way of, if you're having your business, you're doing your own thing, but you're like, look, I love this corporate structure, go back. It is okay. But remember why you either left and why you want to go back, and make sure it's something that you can hold on to. So I wanted to put that out there. Maybe that was for somebody. I don't know. It just came up in my mind. I was like, okay, let me share that. All right. Now the second one is a little heavier, still on the show. And so now my brain is like, every time I'm watching something, I'm always finding life lessons. So I need to start writing them down. So the second one was with Regina. And she was sitting, now this one kind of does relate to the path of possibility. She realized that she had been doing the same thing in her life for the last 30 years. Her and Beanie been together since high school. They have these kids together. She's been in the same career for 20 years. And then she was like, we're having the same arguments. We're having this, same struggles, but different times. Like, what is going on? And then so she tries to do something different. She blows up at her job, curses the people out, like for real, walks out, and then tries to show back up like nothing happened. So then people are like, well, what's going on? She's trying to explain to people like there's something off with me. There's something off. And then she has a heart attack because of all of the pressure that came with her, things that she's never dealt with. Well, I won't get too far into it, but things she's never dealt with. And it finally just came up because all of that is energy, and energy has to go somewhere. So if you don't release your emotions, they have to go somewhere. So either you're going to blow up or outside, or it's going to be inside, internal. So then she sits with herself and she tries to explain to Beanie, like, I'm just sad. It's just there's a feeling of sadness here. And Beanie's trying to fix it. She was like, there's nothing you can fix. And then she's indirectly diagnosed with depression. So I said indirectly because the new doctor that she was working with, Beanie and Lucretia went behind her back, told him some things that were happening. And he said it could be depression. She needs to talk to someone, meaning therapy. So I wanted to share that, to bring up the difference between like coaching and therapy. And I had a whole thing of how I was going to explain it. But then I was listening to my coach today, and I was like, I want a better way to explain this for people with the scenario that I just said. And how she said it and how I'm going to start saying it, because I can resonate with this, because I have done therapy too. So I was like, okay, that I can hold on to. Therapy is a way if you want to start identifying what the problem is and better understanding it. And sometimes it may lead, not always, but sometimes it may lead to being on some type of medication. And if that's how you need to roll, then you roll with that, because it could be something chemical, hormonal, whatever the case. I'm a doctor, but I'm not that kind of doctor, so I'm gonna stay in my lane. And then coaching is, all right, I can identify it. I know what it is. Now I'm ready to elevate from it and then take some steps to make sure I have some tools in place so I know how to handle when this comes back around, but maybe in a different form. And I was like, exactly. So like with Regina, in the situation I gave her, if it's already at the state of depression, she may need to go to therapy because she has to pinpoint, what is this? And it could be some other things, and it may end up going to a psychiatrist. I don't know. That's the show, but things happen like that in real life. But when things were coming up in the past, like when she started feeling unappreciated at her job, that could have been a time to talk to a life coach. When the children were acting all out of whack and she wasn't feeling appreciated as a mom, could have been time to talk to a life coach. When she thought Beanie was cheating again and all the emotions before she went and go key up his car. If that was a spoiler alert, I'm sorry. That was the time to talk to a life coach. But she held all of that in, and then it imploded and she had a heart attack. And then now it's full on what we may think is depression. So I wanted to share those stories with you just in case. I mean, I know they're not real life, but they're real scenarios that happen in life, just in case you were wondering about this whole life coaching and why I want to do that, because I see so many high level people who, and this is another reason why I lead with being credentialed and certified, is because sometimes my high level people who have these titles, and not all of them are doctors, but they're like vice presidents and CEOs of companies. They want somebody to understand that level of pressure. And I may not have been a CEO of a company, but I've been around CEOs. I know what it's like to be in high stress situations and having to make decisions and things like that. So they're looking for someone who can understand but not judge them. Allow them to be confused and know that they are still confident and capable at the same time. Someone who can allow them to still have breakdowns, but remind them of their brilliance. And then understand that you may have chaos, but you can also get back to your state of clarity and certainty. So that's why I'm here. All right, let's jump into our night 4. So focus, find, flip. And I'm gonna draw my picture. Can you guess what it's gonna be? It's a weight. It's a weight bar. What you call it? A weight bar? I don't know. Flex. It's flex. Okay. Flex your bounce back muscle. All right. So it's a thing. That's what came to my mind when I thought about flex. All right. So let me break this down for you and how it relates to why I said flex. So I talk about this quote from Les Brown that I like, but then I was kind of like, well, what else? So he would say something like, when you get knocked down, because life is going to knock you down, make sure you land on your back. Because if you can land on your back, at least you can look up. And if you can look up, you can get up. And that's like bouncing back. That's being resilient. I talk about being resilient in my book, Embracing Grit for Greatness, Becoming Professionally Powerful Through Personal Empowerment. And I talk about being resilient. And while I was researching, I was like, yeah, being resilient. I looked at being resilient as, not saying overcoming an obstacle, lessons learned. And then I took it a step further and looked into it as it related to grit, how your character is showing up as you are overcoming that obstacle. And I was like, okay, that sounds good. But in my own coaching with my own coach, she broke down resiliency even more. And I was like, I'm going to use that because I can hold on to that. That's, I'm practical in that way. I can hold on to that. So don't just say, go be resilient and bounce back. But okay, I bounce back. And what am I supposed to do to make sure I don't fall back over that far down? Like, how many of us want to get knocked back down to the ground every time? And then the way she explained it, that led me to, oh, we got to flex some things. We got to build up some muscles. So I'm going to break down being resilient. We know that's bouncing back. We know another way to like 5x being resilient is to watch your character and your attitude as you are overcoming that particular situation. And then to 10x it or 100x it, I'm going to break it down even more of how I learned it. And I want to share it with you. And this can be a whole lesson by itself. So resilience, she calls them bounce back muscles. So I'm going to use them as bounce back muscles as well. I'm going to tell you all 9 of them, and then I'm going to break down 4 of them. All right. So I'm going to tell you 9, but I'm going to break down 4. So you're like, well, okay, Dr. B, you said you weren't going to hold anything back. I'm not. I'm telling you all 9 of them. But when you think about an athlete and they are getting into their best shape, so they don't go into the gym and work on their full body muscles every single day. That's not possible. You're going to ache. You're not going to see the growth or the gains that you want or tone, because you're doing too much. There are times where you need to isolate muscles and then put things on rotation. So as you're working out one, the other group is resting and recovering, and then they can do their growth process and be ready for the next exercise. So they're on rotation. So even if I told you all 9, it's not like you're going to do anything right now tonight for all 9 of them. The 4 that I'm going to give you, you can superset those and take your time building those. All right. This is a marathon, not a race. This is, you're trying out for the Olympics, or you're going into the bodybuilding competition. You're not out here just trying to lose 5 pounds or 10 pounds so you can look good in pictures on your girls trip or your bro trip for the weekend. All right. All right. So the first one is your understanding muscle. The second one is your faith in yourself muscle. The third one is your take action muscle. Number 4, your know like you know muscle, or know like I know muscle. Number 5, honesty muscle. Number 6, say yes muscle. Number 7, determination. Number 8, forgiveness. And number 9, highest choice. All right, so what are the lucky 4 that I'm going to give you? I love the number 4. And if you're into sorority life, my line number is 4. I'm a 4. All right, just put it out there. All right, so the first one is your understanding muscle. This is a 2-part. So let's say it's like your curl. I'm not even going to go there because I probably can't keep up with all of it. So I'm not even going to try to do that. So it's a 2-part muscle building. I'll do this one, but I'm not going to do the rest of them. So it's like your bicep and your tricep, and that's all I got. So your understanding muscle, the understanding of yourself. So let's start there. As we're going through this path to possibility, and things are coming up, Now you're starting to see why you make certain decisions or why you don't make certain decisions. Why are you taking action in certain areas? Why are you not taking action? What was blocking you before, and what patterns are starting to, unhealthy patterns are starting to come up for you. Now you can have a better understanding of you. That's really all what this is all about. Understanding you and learning how to master you. You're not judging yourself, you're just becoming more aware, and you're like, okay, I get it now. Stop beating yourself up. I had a business coach who they used to always say, you keep beating yourself up, put the stick down. Put the stick down. Sometimes it's not external. Sometimes it's not other people that's beating us up and judging us. It's ourselves. So put the stick down and understand yourself. And that's how I am going to define it here. The second part of that is understanding others. So even if you've never been introduced to anything self-improvement, self-help, life coaching, whatever, and you started with me on day one and you've been doing the work, and then you're going to notice some shift. I know that you are. It is impossible. I did a video about something else, and I like this phrase somebody said to me, and I use it there. It's statistically impossible for you not to have any type of change or growth or movement, even if it's like this, if you've been doing the work. So you may have had these revelations. So this is not the time for you to go and look at your sibling, your partner, your spouse, your mother, your friends, anybody, and look at them like, why do you act that way? Or I'm noticing your unhealthy patterns. You know how some of us do, we get a little bit of knowledge and we run with it. Or maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me and I had to learn how to scale back. And especially it made it even worse that I had this educator background. So I'm like always trying to be in teach mode. And I had somebody say, I am not your student. And I was like, you right? So understand where people are in their journey. All of this has been about you. All of this is about me and what I need to do for myself. Then as you continue to work on yourself, that environment or whatever is happening will start to shift as well. So you understand where they are, understand where you are, and you keep the focus right here. All right. The second one is, I'm like, where am I? The second one is the know like I know muscle. You have to get to the point now that you have this possibility that you can see it. And regardless of what things are going to look like, because life is going to happen, when you get knocked down, not if, but when you get knocked down, you have to know that this is just part of the process. And I know I can get back up. I know I am going to overcome and see the other side. And then I've been knocked down before. I've been working on the muscles. So instead of me crashing to the ground, maybe I, tilt a little bit like, all right, oblique, all right, quad, you got me, because you've been working on that, because you know that even if the people said no to the promotion and you've seen it, you're going to be a CEO. Where's this book? Oh, right here. This book right here, love her. The short version is unapologetically ambitious. She knew she was going to be a CEO by the time she was 40. All the way back, I want to say senior year in high school or at least freshman year of college, she knew she was going to be a CEO by the time she was 40. So when she had that possibility and she did all the stuff she needed to do to be in place, being very strategic, and even when doors closed, to get married or to have the kids, she had all that happening, but she still stayed laser focused and knew that she was going to get it. She had some interviews, they didn't go so well. She was like right close at a company and they decided to crash and burn. And then that left her to not get it. But I think it pushed her back a little bit on what she thought would be back on her timeline. So many things happened, but because she knew without a doubt that whatever happened, I am going to be the CEO by the time I'm 40, and it happened. The one thing I will say is don't be so locked in sometimes on how it happened. So if she was like, I'm going to be the CEO of Google, actually, she did become a CEO of one of these big tech companies. I can't remember, but she was the CEO of a tech company. But I'm just saying, if she said that from the time she was, because Google wasn't around when she was in college, when she was a freshman, yeah. But if she would have just stayed there and just said CEO of Google, Now, I'm not saying that you don't be specific, but you still want to allow yourself breathing room and say, well, which one is more important? She just said, I'm be a CEO of a company. And that she was. And I'm pretty sure if she said that specific company, she could have been, but I want you to give yourself some breathing room so you can allow things to come in and flow. But that's another topic that for another day that we can talk about in the membership or however else you decide you want to work with me. That's something totally different. But know like you know. All right. So we're working out. We got our understanding. We got our understanding of ourselves, understanding of others. We got our know like you know. All right. The next one is take action. Now, we've been talking about take action all week long, but there are two ways I want to talk about taking action. Oh, okay. I got another one. Your quadriceps and your hamstrings, the front and the back muscles. Y'all like how I'm doing that. All right. So there are two things to break down action. And you probably didn't know this. I didn't know it, but I'm like, okay, I can see that. That makes so much sense. There's radical action. Radical action is similar to like what I'm doing for Coaching in Action Week. This was not a long drawn out plan. I did not sit there in January and say, well, on that week of February, this is what I'm going to do. I was like, look, I have these videos in place. I'll do this soft opening for this membership. If you watch all the videos, you'll get a taste of what I'm doing and let's go. But then I had this inspired action. Holy Spirit was like, do that. I saw something. It was like, you can do that too. Go do it. And I was like, I just saw this like, last week. And it was like, okay, your turn next week. Oh man. All right. Boom. Let's go. Radical. Put this together. And I was like, all right, let's go. And then to do it 2 times a day, morning and night, all week. Radical. Okay. Then there's massive action. And massive action, I used to be like, oh, that's something huge. I got to go do something like earth shattering, like major. Massive action can be you do the action steps until you see the thing you want manifested, until you get the results that you want. You keep going until you see the results that you want. I was like, that's all it is. And she was like, yeah, that's what it is. So if you're working out, you've probably been radical. You probably went and did a whole juice cleanse. I'm a doctor, but not that kind of doctor. So I'm not telling you that's what you did. Let's say you did that or something radical to change up your metabolism. And that's cool. You're going to see some results. But now it's time to sustain it because your end goal was not just these 10, 15 pounds. You really want to change the structure of your body. So that's going to take some toning, some strength training and things like that. You keep lifting those muscles, you keep doing those push-ups, you keep doing those squats and whatever the case may be until your body changes. That's massive action. So do you see the difference between radical action and massive action? Regardless, it's taking action. Now, my high achievers, those of you that are up there, my high performers, my status people, title people, position people, this is where you tend to like chill for a little bit because people take you working hard or your work ethic as action. And for some it is, but not for you. You know what it is to get outside your comfort zone and to fully show up and go after the thing that's outside of your comfort zone, the thing that make you stretch, to take radical and massive action. So just because you're a hard worker, that doesn't necessarily mean you're taking action towards your possibility. So I want to put that out there. I see you. All right. So the next one is your highest choice muscle. Now, in the AM class, I talked about being selfish and self-centered with this one, but I'm not going to say that tonight. I'm just going to say you do what's best for you in the moment as you focus on your possibility and your pathway. If it requires you to be a little isolated or in a different community or having different conversations to keep you focused, you do what you need to do. I have this example. I was watching a YouTube short and this lady was saying that she doesn't cook or clean for her husband, but she orders food. She makes sure that the house is taken care of by a cleaning service and some other things she was saying that she outsources pretty much. And then there were some people in the comments were saying, oh, so you got a man and you don't even cook, or, just being negative, like, you're supposed to cook for your husband or your kids, your home cooked meal and all of that. And she said, I was like, go ahead, girl. She was like, my job and what I take seriously is being what did she say? I'm just paraphrasing, but being a more in tuned wife, relaxed wife, there for my husband, a more, gosh, I can't, the word is right here. I, it's escaping me, so I'm just gonna let it go. But that's her highest choice, was to be a certain type of wife, a present wife for her husband and her children. If she was gonna, and she, I think she has companies or she worked. Either way, that's, to me, that's neither here nor there. She was like, what kind? I don't feel that I can be my best self if I'm doing all of this cooking, all of this cleaning, and you still want me to come do some wifely duties, or I still have to be here for the children after I've done all of that and worked or ran the company. So her highest choice, because she chose to be present and how she wanted to be a wife and a mother, all that other stuff over there, she outsourced. So some people could say that's being selfish or self-centered. I just see that as her being focusing on her highest choice. Now, I'm not saying that's what you need to do, what you're supposed to do, or anything like that, but that's a decision that she made. So pull from that what you will, and I'm going to leave it right there. But you know what your highest choice is. But if you are out here just going in any direction, that's because you haven't done all of this. So just being honest. And that's one thing you're going to get from me in this coaching space, is being honest. So the point of all of these, well, these major 4 and the 9 that I shared with you, they're not meant for you to do them all every single day, because you're going to wear yourself out. Even though we're not exercising our physical bodies, we're exercising our mental, our brain, and our mental endurance. So think of this as a mental gym. Again, that still doesn't sound right. But you know what I'm saying? So you're doing the work up here. You're looking at all of the areas of your life. And if you truly want to expand your life, grow your life, have the life that you know that you deserve, and stop just focusing on 1 or 2 areas, you have to touch every single area of your life. So that way, and I explained this in my book, if you're only looking at your life in 2 buckets, your professional life and your personal life, when your professional life crashes, then everything goes in your personal life. And then that's where you can also feel stress, and vice versa. But if you start breaking things up and you start categorizing your life, and I gave you 5, my spirituality, what do I want that to look like? What is my intention for that? What's the kind of person I want to be in that area? Your career and or your business. What type of person do I want to be in this area? What is the mindset of the person who does X, Y, Z over here? Your relationships, again, family, friends, romantic, whatever, partnerships and business, whatever. Your relationships, what kind of person do you want to be in this area? And they're not all different people. They're all coming from your source, your core, but then you're being more intentional. I said health and wellness, and then your finances. That's just 5. That's enough to keep you occupied and working on yourself and making sure that you're still touching everything. And you're like, all right, it's leg day. All right, it's arm day, it's back day, it's shoulder day. All right, let me check my understanding. Am I being patient with myself? Am I loving myself? Am I not judging myself? Boom, there it is. I know, like I know. Okay, let me check in with that goal. Is there anything that's swirling in my head? I know I heard a comment the other day. How do I feel about that? Am I good? Am I still moving forward? Cool. My take action muscle. Well, I've been chilling for the last 2 days. So I've been looking at my calendar. I didn't hit any of these benchmarks. I got to go work on that. So let me go get back into more action so I can see the results that I want and make sure that I am on the path. And then my highest choice muscle, well, that one was in jeopardy because I knew that I didn't take that much action because I let something distract me. Okay, you probably heard my puppy. All right, so that is how all of this works. It is an ongoing thing. You never arrive, but I do want to say this. Just like any athlete, or if we're still talking about getting your body together, like if you're going to a weight competition, they don't stay in the gym all their lives and work. Okay, so they're not always in the gym working on their body. They eventually go to the competition. They show what they need to show, and then after that, they rest. So let's not stay in personal development or self-improvement without without seeing the fruits of our labor or celebrating our growth or taking time to acknowledge that we've done a good job. So I want to say that there. All right. So that's been our lesson. Thank you so much. That is focus, find, flip, and flex. And we have one more F bomb that I'm going to drop, and that will be the end of our path to possibility. Now I'm going to jump into 2 questions from tonight, and then I'll share one from this morning that I think would be beneficial for you all as well. So one question is, how do I know when to quit my job or move to another one? You already know because you had the thought. And because you had this thought, that means it's time for you to either quit or move. Now, I'm not saying quit. Yeah, there's a lot more to quit. I think I told y'all on day 1 or somewhere in one of my videos, there are 2 types of people. There are people who can burn the ship and burn the bridge, and they're like, I'm going for it. I got it. And they're good. Everybody's not that person. I just know myself. Then there are other people who are like, you know what, I just need a little cushion here. I need something, to keep me keep me steady for a little bit. I still want to get out there, but I need some time to build some things up. So you have to first identify which person are you, and then go through why do you want to quit, what is happening, pinpoint the root, and then you can go from there. So I'm not going to say whether you should stay or quit, but be honest with yourself before you make that decision, because you don't want to say, like Regina did on the show, she came in there because she didn't get the scholarship. Somebody who who didn't need the scholarship got the scholarship, and she went off and she didn't deal with not being appreciated, and she went off and quit. And then she was like, oh man, I don't have anything in place. So instead of her talking to someone about not being appreciated or taking a different approach, she went from an emotional state. So she made an emotional decision. You don't want to make an emotional decision like that unless you feel in your body that it's time to move. So I hope that makes sense. So know the difference. You have to know yourself and be honest with yourself. All right. Number 2, how do I deal with a past hurt in a relationship without self-sabotaging myself, especially if I've forgiven and said that I am ready to move on? All right, that's really good question. I'm not going to go through this whole thing, but I can tell you to look this up, and then I'll give you the sentence stems and go from there. Because I will tell you to go through this process. I'm just going to give you a little bit of it. I don't want to take you too far down, but I'll read through just a little bit of it. So it's called the Total Truth Process. I didn't make this up. It's again, coaching is about having tools and strategies and resources, to get you out of your own way. So this is called the Total Truth Process. I learned this at a private retreat. And then of course I had to research it. Like, where did this come from? So it came from, I think he's a psychologist. And I also talk about it in the book. I learned it from my coach. And so it's an actual tool and it works. So first you have to identify if you're still angry. Now you can do this. I suggest first writing it on paper and getting your feelings out before you start going to other people, because again, understanding muscles, they may not be there yet. So you write out, I'm angry that you, the person, whatever happened, express that you're angry if you're angry. Then you talk about you're being hurt. So my feelings were hurt when? Well, what happened? So you write that out. And then we start addressing fear, because these are the different layers that come, because we automatically think we're angry, but there's a lot that goes underneath that anger. And if it's still there, it's probably one of these things that I'm telling you that you haven't dealt with. So anger, we got that covered. Hurt, we can address that. Fear, I'm scared because I think. Be honest with yourself. Again, this is all about honesty. This is why the letter is a Total Truth Process. So you express that. You can write it down, I suggest. And then responsibility and accountability. I'm sorry that we want to stop at what the other person did, but we also have to acknowledge if we did something too. All right. So if you did something or not. So you acknowledge that. And then you get down, understanding. I understand that you, So I understand you may have felt this way, or I understand when I said this, it was like this. So you're understanding. And then what do you want? Because you're angry because you wanted something. And not from a selfish place, but if you're in a relationship with someone, whether romantic or friendship or whatever the case may be, there is it's like, give and take, give and give. Why are we together? Or why are we in this group of friends? Because you wanted something. And again, not in a bad way. So what I really want is, and be honest, if you really want them to call you every day, then say that. Because you're probably mad that they didn't call you. So if that's what you wanted and you didn't tell them that, tell them. Then forgiveness, love, and appreciation. And you will break that down. What do you forgive them for? What do you love about them? And what you appreciate about them? And then agreements. We don't do this part. I know I didn't do this part. I will blow up, get mad. I'm like, we cool. Then it's again, we blow up, get mad. But we never talk about, well, how can we stop blowing up? So the agreement. From now on, I will. So remember, you said, I really want you to call me every day. And then you're like, okay, is that really realistic? Do I really want that? Yeah, I do want that. So I'm going to go say, this is what I want from you. And now you're leaving that person at choice. So either they could say, yeah, I will call you every day, because now that's the agreement. You said you would do that. So if I get mad, just know because you said you agreed. Or they can come back and say, now get real. I can call you like 3 times a week, right? And y'all have that discussion. So the reason why I say do that with yourself first, because if you said that you want to get past a hurt, you yourself need to heal from the inside before you expect for someone else to change. So they're probably going about their business and you're still over there being resentful, side-eyeing, or waiting for the next shoe to drop. So you do this internal process and then see how you feel. And then you can go move forward with the next person if you feel so led to do that. All right, now this last question, this came from this morning. And I had to breathe. And I told them that. And then I was like, all right, calm down, understanding people are where they are, where they are. See, I work on myself too. It says, how do I know that this program or your membership will work for me? It seems expensive and I don't want to waste my money. Now, I'm not going to go through the whole long drawn out thing that I said this morning, but I will say this. I said, one, be careful how you use your words. Expensive is relative. And I gave the example that somebody think a Birkin bag is expensive, and then some people don't think it's expensive, right? They think, oh, 10 grand, that's nothing. Where some people are like, you know how long it would take me to save 10 grand, or I would never. So that's relative. I didn't say this in the morning class, but I will say this. When I say expensive, it's relative, and my membership. So I'm just going to jump right in. For the founding members that I did extend it because people asked, it's to March 5th. It's a 6-month commitment. And I'll spend more time on Q&A tomorrow. It's $247 a month for founding members, and then it goes up to $297 a month. There's an option for paying full, and then there's an option to do the 6 month and then have 2 one-on-one calls with me during that time frame. To work with me for a VIP session, and you can go look it up on drbrenitaglenwhite.com/work with me, $12,500. If you want to work with me for 6 months or 90 days, because the process is the same process, it just depends on how fast you want to work through it. It is $30,000. I also remember those 12 areas I talked about. I broke them down. I did some things. People who want to work with me for a year on every area of their lives, it is $100,000. So this program, this membership, and how I structured it, because I really believe in having this type of community, and for what I see as possible, I'm really good at saying that it's $247 for founding members and $297 for after that a month. So I said that because then they said, well, I don't want to waste my money. Or how do I know it will work for me? You should always bet on you. Number one, I know how I'm going to show up. I show up, even when I was teaching 6th graders, I'm showing up 1,000%. I don't guarantee that anybody gets results because I don't know how you are going to show up. But if you show up how I think you should show up or how I would want you to show up, there's no way that it won't work for you. And I'm going to say this, not just with me, for any coach who's worth their coaching ship, who stands on what their coaching business and how they approach clients, and they know their system and their processes and their framework, then anything that you put in place and work with fidelity will work. So even if you don't come to me, having that attitude of how do I know it will work, that's not the right approach to have with going to any coach. When you went to maybe a university or a different kind of training to learn something, when you showed up on the first class, you know it was gonna work. You were like, well, this is what y'all said y'all were gonna do. I'm gonna show up. I'm gonna keep going and doing the work, and then eventually it materialized. The other part to that is I don't want to waste my money. Again, that's another mindset on you as a person. And I'm only saying this out of love because I used to have these thoughts as well. So that's why, that understanding most of people are where they are. Again, it's easy if we're going to a gym and we invest in something like that, or we invest in subscriptions, even if it's for little tchotchkes or what people might think are, throwaway items. You invest in, in things like that. But when it comes to investing in yourself, you want a quick turnaround. If you go to the gym, you don't go work out twice and bam, you got these arms or these legs or the butt you wanted or the abs you wanted. You put in time. It's not a waste of time because you invested. Same thing with personal development or self-help. You're not going to go through this work and then your whole entire life is going to change tomorrow. You put the time in, you put the work in, and you bet on yourself, and then you go on with the intention knowing that the results will happen, especially if I know that I'm going to show up. And then how you show up. When you're farming, well, you probably don't farm. Everyone doesn't farm. I used to farm. My grandparents had a garden in the back of their house. When you plant seeds, you don't go. And I remember when I was a little girl, I used to try to go watch, where's my tomato, Peepaw? And it's like, you gotta give it time, baby girl. You gotta give it time. So you invest, you put time in, and you watch it, you nurture it, and then over time it grows. So don't always go look for the quick fix. And even if somebody promised you, and that's why you're not going to hear me, I'm not going to promise you that your life is going to change overnight. I'm not even going to promise you that your life is going to change in 2 weeks. I believe you can shift in a whole day, but to sustain that shift, you got to put some time in. All right, so that's how I'm going to address that tonight. I didn't address it that way this morning, but I wanted to address that here. All right, because I want to honor your time. What time did we start? Yeah, I want to honor your time. I'm going to end it here. You know where to find at least the brochure. So if you're ready to sign up, if you go get the brochure and you go to my link tree, I put the link in there because that's the fastest way to go do that. It's the second one. Download it, put your information in. You can watch the video that I send with you to explain certain things, and then you can go sign up from there. On the next class, we'll take a deeper dive into the behind the scenes of what the program is like, or the membership is like, and what 2 courses of mine that you get immediate access to when you sign up. So we'll talk about that more tomorrow, along with our final F-bomb. All right, so I'm so excited. And I hope you enjoyed tonight. I know you enjoyed tonight. You did. Go ahead. You can tell me you enjoyed tonight. So thank you so much for listening and learning with me. It's always a pleasure. You all bring me so much joy. Thank you, VIPs, for your powerful questions. You keep this going. And you all see that I do answer these like in real time. Now, what would be different? I will say this, and I'll say it again on our final night. The difference would be if they were brave enough, because this is why we got to work on some things. You will be on screen with me. Well, if you see, we'll be side by side, and you will ask your questions, and then I will come back and ask you some questions, and I will literally coach you in action. But they were like, oh, I don't know yet. I'm still working on some things, so I'm just going to slide you this question. So that's the difference inside the membership. All right. You all enjoy your night or in your morning, wherever you are in the world. And remember that we all need you to be well in your mind and your body. We need you to be empowered. We need you to be bold in your action and be brilliant. Until next time. Bye, everyone. Hold on, VIPs.